All right, welcome to Searching for Wisdom Within the Madness. Searching for Wisdom Within the Madness. Hello, how are you? My name is Darren Bodecker, and I'm your journeyman on this dive into madness. On today's show, we have a man that I haven't seen in many, many years. Let me turn this down. I haven't seen him in a long time. His name is Steve Seagren. And when I first came to Chicago, in my first year here, I went to the Improv downtown, and I saw him on stage for the first time. And that was the first time I thought to myself, oh my God, I'm like discovering a new George Carlin, Richard Pryor. In other words, I saw him, and it was just comedy. It was like, the comedy was so, choice, his look, his timing, the way he sounded, the way he moved. It was the whole package, like a shining oh man, from the jump. As soon as he touches the microphone, electricity of funny emanates out of him, and then as soon as he lets go, you're like, I want him more, please, and he leaves. And it was like, oh my God. I mean, I had already been in the comedy game for 2.5 years before that. So that was like, and I saw some stars before that. I saw Ollie Joe Prater. I saw Geechee Guy, who Ollie Joe Prater stole all his jokes. So I saw, I was down in Florida, of course, but and then I came to Chicago. I saw Steve Seagren. Oh my God! So that's who I'm seeing. He moved away a long time ago. Once again, this is like my 5th podcast, and he moved away a while ago. And I haven't really talked with him. We used to be on the road to get man. To know that I befriended that guy when I first saw him, to know that I could even befriend him was like a dream. Was like, oh man, that guy's so funny, the funniest ever. I couldn't imagine being his friend. To me, it was like I would be friends with, just a star. It's like, oh my God, this guy's why would he dip so low to befriend me? But we did become friends. I thought we were good friends. Good friends. Well, we'll see if that's really true. So anyway, Steve Seagren has moved away from Chicago for, God dang it, it's been about 20 years now. This is my 6th show, and the closest I've talked with anybody was someone from Las Vegas. Kelly Lee. Sorry. Anyways, Steve Seagren, I might as well start this show. Well, I'll start this show soon. I should do a whole nother intro. Take 2. All right. Not take 2 yet. Remember the sound. Take 3. Look in the camera. Welcome to Searching for Wisdom Within the Madness. With your host, your journeyman, your guide through the madness. We're going to come take my hand. We're going to walk through, follow the sound of my flute, and join me into madness as we look for some wisdom. I don't know if we'll find any. Hasn't been too much wisdom. Sometimes the wisdom's very subtle, so you really have to read into it. But on today's show, it's Steve Seagren. Steve Seagren. When I first came to Chicago in 92, it was at Improv on a Saturday night, first show, 500 people in the crowd. I'm in the crowd. Steve Seagren goes up, does half an hour, and murders. I mean, it's just the best comedy I'd ever seen. And he was like, oh my God, this guy's a superstar. I can't wait. I can't wait to see him again. And I did, and then we became friends, and we were friends for years. We did the road together, and then he left for L.A., and he's been gone for 20 years, I guess. It seems like 30 years now. But also it doesn't seem too far away because he is I have a good image of him in my head. And, this is my first time really talking to him since he left, other than some texts and some, thumbs up and smiley faces on Facebook. That's basically our relationship at this point. So I ballsed up. I finally had enough confidence to ask him to, if he'd do the thing. And, every time I ask somebody, I always think they're not going to. What? Dude, you suck. But so far I've been successful in people. There have been some who just have ghosted me, but, expect that. It's a little shocking, isn't it? Especially if you haven't heard from me in 20 years. So, anyways, I reached out to him, and I think he said yes. And so now it's Steve Seagren. I'm going to talk with him. He had a fucking hour of killer material. Killer. He had like a bazooka shot of comedy. Boom! Blow the whole... So, we had 60 minutes of that. And I got to know that material pretty well. Steve! Oh, Steve. Hooray. Do you mind if I... Just let me... Do you mind if I marvel a little bit?
No, I don't care. You can marvel.
All right, so... I remember I started doing comedy in 1989 down in Florida. And then over the year, by the time 91 came around, I was a good for Sarasota, Florida / Tampa. I was like one of the, top 3 Tampa comedians as far as being funny and new, that new thing. Not a road guy, just on the open mic scene, basically. Yeah. So then me and Bart, you remember Bart, an ectomorph with Jim Copsian?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, okay. I do. Sorry, I'm swearing. Sorry.
Right. No, I'm probably saying this for other people who could be listening.
Gotcha.
So so then when we decided to move to Chicago, New York was too busy. We were thinking about L.A., but no, you want to be more prepared for LA, so we were like, should we go to Atlanta? And like, nah, it's still too close to Florida. And then we decided, let's go Chicago. That's where we're gonna be entertaining. So me and Bart were in a sketch group, but I was also doing stand-up. And so we decided to move to Chicago, and we did. And then maybe my first month in Chicago, I wanted to see the comedy scene, so the first thing I do is basically go down to the Improv downtown Chicago. And I want to see, so I'm going to pay a real ticket because, I can't get in free.
You went in as a civilian.
Yeah. But also a civilian who knew that this, I didn't think I could play that place because it was so big. But, maybe on special show. But anyways, I didn't feel it. But anyways, you went on and I think you did maybe 30 minutes.
Yeah, could be, yeah.
This is 92. In like June, maybe. And I remember I was in the audience, and I think they were almost starting their variety thing when you were there a little bit. Like, it was a little quicker sets, but you did a healthy set, not a headliner set, but a healthy set. And I remember seeing you and thinking, like, oh my God, this is the most funniest comedian I've seen live so far. Like, this guy. That guy right there, who's that guy? What amazed me about you when I saw you, what I marveled at, and I was completely convinced, even though I was 2.5 years in at this point, completely convinced that you were making up 30 minutes of killer material right on the spot. It just came from God. You looked the part. You had your voice was perfect. Your physiology was perfect. You were the perfect comedy package.
It just came to me.
The looks. But I'm saying your timing was impeccable. The sound of your voice was like, mwah. The tone was perfect for comedy. The way the facial expressions were, the way you just commanded the audience through joy and an excitement and can you believe I'm just thinking of this thing right now? And people are like, whoa, that's crazy. And I was like, whoa, that guy is awesome. And so then I was like, you were doing the second show on a Saturday night, even more audience members. And I remember I go up to the balcony this time because I'm standing around. And you went up again. And then I was like, I was confused, and I was also marveled again, because what confused me is that somehow my mind thought, oh my God, this Steve Seagren guy, he completely forgot. So he completely forgot he did this set just like an hour ago, and he's completely remembering it again, and it's amazing. Like, you were Marlon Brando acting of like, this is just coming to me. And I was convinced that somehow, like Memento, you just had like a memory for maybe an hour, and then you'd lose it, and then you do that thing again, like Memento. You're like, all right, I'm just doing that. And it was, but I'm telling you, man, it was even more electric and brilliant, and it confused me. But then I had to rationalize, no, that must be all. It's impeccable timing and acting and all of it. It was everything. That is a powerful set you had, dude. Your set was powerful.
So you thought that I forgot that I did that, and it just came to me again.
Because your acting was flawless. You're flawless. I couldn't see a wink in there. I couldn't see like, hey, you remember, or anything like that. There was it was like coming to you right then. You were like Robin Williams and Richard Pryor, and it was like you were, I remember, I was like, whoa. I couldn't even conceive of being that good. I was like, you were just on another level. I was like, I don't think I'll ever be that good. I mean, that's a whole thing.
No, that was the whole trick. Was not the trick, but to make it look like the first time. That was make it look like the first time I said it. So that's,
Dude, you had it perfect, man.
Yeah, but that kind of worked against me when I came out to LA, and I would like audition for certain stand-up shows, like say for Aspen, because I do the act the way I usually do it, and they're like, hey, he's just making it up as he goes along. Make it up. Like, no, I'm not. I worked on this set for like 20 years.
You're too good. You fooled them. See, I was onto some. I'm not just the only fool. You fooled Hollywood.
Yeah. Because there was, I think the time you saw me, I did it for a long time, but there was one point I would mess up a joke on purpose. And then I would tell the audience, I just messed that up. And I had a joke for messing it up.
Okay.
So I would, so I would do that on purpose. And I think I can't remember what I was. I think it might have been Last Comic Standing or something. I was doing a little audition for that, and I got as far in my set as messing that joke up. And I'm like, I messed that up. And they go, that's okay, we've seen it up. I'm like, no, but I didn't really mess it up. There's a joke that follows me messing it up. No. Yeah. So.
Oh no, you should have thought better at doing that one. Oh, my God.
To be honest with you, I didn't want to do Last Comic Standing anyway.
You sabotaged yourself.
Yeah, maybe I did. Yeah, I don't know.
All right, let's go back a little bit. So I see you in like June of 92.
92.
And
yes.
You were, I got to say, peak of your powers?
92 probably it was.
just like you got it. It's all that's you got your 10,000 hours in, and you have this down to a science.
Yeah, pretty much right around
Science
there,
of laughter. You could read an audience, right? You're pretty much a master of reading a small audience, a medium audience, a large audience, a cold audience. So did you have that kind of mastery towards the end? I mean, like if you could pick an audience and then you could kind of gear up or tone down or switch lanes a little bit personality wise, and it would kind of fit the room.
Yeah, I don't know if I ever really switched up anything. I would most of the time I'd let them come to me if they weren't there already. You know, I would just keep plugging away, and eventually they come around.
Because you're funny.
I don't remember. Yeah, but I don't remember really changing anything.
Okay.
Maybe working slower.
But you were aware of those things, though, right? Because you had been on stage so many times, so you now know maybe here's some other thing that might work for these guys that I can pull out of my, tricks, or at least this pace. I'll hit this, and I'll just sort of talk slowly. Let them come to me, and then ramp it up.
I think a lot of it was I wasn't. I could tell if the audience seemed like they weren't that good, it'd be like a challenge, and I'm like, I'll get them, I'll win them over. I don't care. They don't scare me. So it was pretty much confidence more than reading an audience. I just knew I was going to get them. So.
And you knew your act so well. I mean, it was almost like basically Jimi Hendrix level, being blindfolded on the guitar, and you're hitting everything, and it doesn't matter if anybody's there or. You know what I'm saying? You could go to that mentally, and you just know your beats and your timings, and if that doesn't work, here comes another, and that doesn't work, here comes another, and another.
Oh yeah,
another.
Right, yeah. That absolutely. I could, there was times where I would like start my act in the middle just because I was getting bored. So I just start in the middle and then go back. But I mean, I do how it is. So you got everything memorized in chunks. Little chunks. Here's the chunk here, the chunk there. So I could just switch the chunks around. But I mean, in my mind, I knew I knew it so well that I could, I had like a couple different endings for my act that I would, really wouldn't know which ending I was going to do until I got there. And then,
okay.
So
right.
But it was always part of one chunk. I would just the different endings were when I ended that chunk.
I block.
Could end it in the middle and beginning. Yeah, the block. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
15-minute block, 5-minute block.
Yeah. But if I got a light of 5 minutes, I knew I could just I'm in the last little block, so I can cut this anywhere because it was designed like with big laughs, big laugh, big laugh, big laugh. So first big laugh, I'm out of here.
All right, let's pause here. Put what do they call it? A flag right here. And can I go back just a little bit more with you? When is the first time that you had any inkling that either you were funny or you saw the world differently than other people, and made somebody else laugh, like whether it was your family when you were young or when you got older, or did you do it as a defense mechanism? What do you remember, like your first times being able to control how people laughing?
Well, I don't know if I can remember that.
Why did you think you were so funny that you're going to be going on stage one day? I mean, what made you?
Oh, well, I wasn't planning on going on stage at all until I did it. But it wasn't something I think my mom and dad thought I would be funny if I did it, but they always thought I was funny.
So you made your mom and dad laugh.
Yeah.
Because you do. I see a kid picture of you.
Yeah.
One cool thing that you got is your eyes, dude. Your eyes are amazing. Those color, especially when you were a kid and you were all bright-eyed like that.
Yeah.
That gives you had, even back then, I know you as a comedian, and when I picture you and I see your face, I see you on stage in my mind all the time. And that kid even has I could just see the funny in you. Like it kind of, for me, it's like an aura. It's just part of you. It's like you, I mean, like, I would imagine from the jump you were just a funny baby. Your first word might have been cheese or something weird.
Yeah, I mean, I was always, like that, get funny. But I think when I decided to do an open mic, I was, if I'm not mistaken, it was after I got divorced from my. It was definitely after I got divorced from my first marriage. So I was getting, I was trying to pick up girls.
How old are you?
You know,
How old are you?
I was 28.
Wow.
So
That's late.
huh?
That is
Yeah,
late.
so I was using, my humor, to get lucky. And
Right.
then there was a comedy club. Who's on First? It was down the street from where I was living at the time.
Okay.
So I decided I would go in there and do 5 minutes.
Holy shit.
So that's how I got started.
I
Yeah.
will let you know right now, you are the only comic I've ever heard that has said that they got into it for the women.
Yeah.
It's the only one.
It's not the only reason, but that was the impetus. I'm like,
I just didn't. I thought, yeah. Mine was to showcase how awkward I am, and here's the reason why I don't have any women.
I always thought it'd be cool to do a documentary about the open mic scene, because okay. Are you done talking? Anything else that you want to say to me? Because I was thinking about something.
Go ahead. You give me your thing, and I can always come back.
But I always thought it would be cool to do a documentary about open micers, because as well as I do, that there's like a clique or a hierarchy in the open mic thing in a certain club. There's 5 or 6 people that go up, and there's always the one funny open micer. Then there's the outsider, and then there's the girl, and you know what I mean?
Yes.
But I used to wonder, like, some of them were just terrible.
Oh.
And they were never going to get better.
I know.
But they came up and went up every fucking night.
And for years.
And I was thinking about it, and I was wondering why. What do they get out of it? What do they want?
Right.
And some of them I think do it as therapy,
Yes,
or whatever. But I always thought it'd be fun to do a documentary about these people,
right.
they're not very funny, but it's got to be interesting to see what do they do when they're not on stage and they're writing their material.
Jeez. Well, to be honest with you, if you want to do a legit documentary, you're gonna have to get some lawyers, and we're gonna have to get a psychologist and a psychiatrist, and they're gonna have to monitor exactly what you say and do and how much you because you got
I would definitely let them
people.
tell the story. I wouldn't inject my opinion at all. I just think it's like, did you ever see that movie Anvil, the story of Anvil?
Yes.
About the metal band? They were terrible. Terrible, but you were rooting for them.
Right.
You were rooting for them.
Yes.
Come on, man. You guys got to do it. Come on.
But they were self-aware. I argue that, at least when you describe this, you're describing people who are not self-aware. In other words, part of the reason they do it is that some people, have an ear for music. Well, some people have an ear for comedy or a response, and then they'll take a smile from somebody that they see as, oh my God, that killed. And then they'll just keep doing it and do it. Look for one smile in the audience and go, yep, got it. Yeah. And that's all they need to fill that.
Maybe some are trying to overcome some kind of phobia, speaking in public or something like that.
So speaking of that kind of thing, have you ever known any that have gone too far? Like, you don't need to name names, of course, but have there ever been instances like you heard of a suicide, you've heard of a crime being committed, or anything with somebody that you kind of were familiar with? Did you hear? Was it that weird ever?
Oh yeah. Because of comedy?
The person, because there's always some kind of psychological thing that also comes out in another area. I mean, if they're truly
sure,
like, whoa, this is therapy, that it always bubbles out in some other, way. If they're that way.
I don't know if it's the same thing that it caused them to do comedy has caused them to commit a crime.
No, but it is a kind of a mindset. There's a certain way
of course their
thinking.
Comedy was a crime.
Yeah, right. Yes, the perfect moment for Copscotch to arrest them on stage. That would be your job. Cop Scotch, you'd be like the living hook that pulls bad comics off stage. All right, get coming with me.
I don't know. I think there's something to be said about somebody who just keeps going.
Mm-hmm.
I know I'm bad, but you know what? I'm just going to keep going. They're not deterred. There's something to be said about that. There's a certain amount of courage in that, I think.
Well, I mean, there's also...
Granted, you're hearing this from an older, less cynical Steve Seagren than from the 90s. I would have been completely the other way in the 90s. Like, get out of here, you suck. But now right. I'm like, I'm not as cynical as I was, and I can get kind of like, there's a little bit of respect for that. I think.
Absolutely. It's just, you're going to have to be careful because I've known, so you remember Adam Crocius, right?
Yes, I do. Yes,
he had a full out other comic stalk him for years. That was an open micer who was one of those ones who, it's terrible comedy, but then she, became a stalker of his. And then...
Stalker like he wanted to kill him, or
stalker like you love me.
A piece of him, or
you made me laugh, and
yeah.
I had a chemical reaction, and now I'm like a baby duckling. I'm stuck to you wherever you go.
Yeah.
And you're my boyfriend. Yeah, there was that kind of shit, and so there were some people who are volatile. I remember meeting one or two who I thought I. Do not engage with them because they're potentially bipolar or like violent in another, like they're bubbling.
Yes.
And you're like, oh man, I'm not even gonna say hi to them. This guy's a volcano, and I do not know. No.
Yeah, there are those people. That's for sure. And see, they would be very interesting for my documentary.
It would. No, it's like getting the, kind of the nerds, kind of the, like, why because, I mean, like, that the audience isn't reacting to them, but really, what is it in their heads that is going? Is it just a smile, and that links into a laughter response chemical, and they think everybody's laughing, but nobody's saying anything because, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't. I remember this comic, Ace Marco. Do you remember Ace?
No.
I don't know if he's. I think he's probably no longer.
I know Sharky. How about Sharky?
Crazy Billy Craze. I know Sharky. I've known Sharky for years. Excuse me, but Ace did the same act. It was like something from the '60s.
Really?
He did impressions. It was like, and now the late great John F. Kennedy.
Yeah. Oh boy.
JFK.
Yeah.
And nicest guy in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Nicest guy in the world. He's a limo driver, older than us, at the time. And one night, and he always never did well on stage. I mean, people were polite, but nobody you suck, none of that.
Yeah.
Just never did well. And then one night he went on to the Funny Firm, and fucking killed.
No, it was the one shot.
Killed.
He did it.
He destroyed. I've never seen anything. Never ever see him do anything that well. Ever.
Electricity connected. Finally.
And I was thinking about it. I've been thinking about that recently, and I was like, God, I would have loved to have followed him through all this and filmed that last.
Oh my God, dude! Yeah,
of course, it all went to his head after that. And he's like, I can't believe it won't give me a week here.
Fuck yeah!
He turned into every other comic.
Yeah, in one shot, he turned into a superstar in his brain.
Yeah. I won't give me a week. Did you see my set?
Oh, that audience did him a disservice.
But it was great. I was like one of those things. Like if I thought about doing a documentary.
Right.
If I had the money and something like that, and I followed somebody like Ace, and they had that set, that would be the whole movie right there.
I think the only way that you could honestly do this whole idea is you get a good actor and you write that whole thing out.
Yeah.
You make your own fucking climax.
Yeah. I guess it's easier than hanging around with open micers for 3 or 4 years.
Oh, because you saw lightning in a bottle there, basically. I mean, it happens, but you can't have your cameras in 10,000 comedy clubs downtown Chicago on a Wednesday night alone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We've got like 30 open mics going on, or at least we did. So, all right, Going back, I do like this idea. I'm going to jump back a little bit. So when you went on the very first time ever, do you remember, like, do you do 5 minutes? Was it 5 minutes you went up?
Yeah, I was supposed to do 5.
How did you do that first time?
So I worked on some stuff I was going to do throughout through the week. And then I went up and blew through my 5 minutes in about a minute and a half.
You did.
And so I was up there, and I'm like, I remember too, because I'm not getting very many laughs. Maybe a couple chuckles. There's hardly anybody in the audience.
It's an open mic, though.
It was open. No, there was open mic, and then Steve and Leo did improv after that. A lot of people come in later to see Steve and Leo.
And what year is this?
83.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's early in the game.
April of 83, yeah.
Whoa.
And I remember I came in, and they had a green room, and I'm like, I'm here for the open mic. and the waitress said, okay, the dressing room's in the back. And in my mind, I'm like, dressing room! I need way over my head.
Right, and you get dressed for comedy.
I'm imagining like a mirror with lights all around it, and people putting on makeup, and it's like, hi, I'm just an open micer. Excuse me.
Yeah, no matter what, it's showbiz, even if it's an open mic. So let's get this lady to powder you up.
I was just a douchebag from Bensonville.
Douchebag. Get in the dressing room. Have Mabel make you up before you go on.
Dressing room? Are you kidding me?
You got 5 minutes, and we'll call you 10 minutes ahead of schedule.
But yeah, but I was so nervous on stage. I mean, I think I taped myself, but I'm not sure. But I did. I burned through the material I had, which I don't remember. And I remember I just kind of stood there and like looking at the audience, and I said, well, they said 5 minutes, and somehow I thought that was going to take the whole time, and they thought that was hilarious.
Oh, so you went off script and you said real.
I had no more script. I had to do something.
Right, but you went into that's good. Yeah, you broke the tension there.
Yeah, well, there's a theory I had that, like, if you're looking for your persona on stage,
okay,
I always believe that like 90% of, some people would argue, I guess, but 90% of performing stand-up is knowing what your character is, knowing what your personality is.
Right, yeah, knowing who you are.
Knowing who you are, exactly. And I always thought that the way you can find who that person is between the jokes, if this makes sense, whatever you do to get the laugh, to survive, that's who you are. Right. I can do scripted stuff, but that's just the script. But if it doesn't work and I've got to ad lib,
right,
to get the laugh, there I am. That's me telling it, getting the laugh.
That's right. Those were the bullets in your gun that I remember. So you could take a joke that you've done many, many times, but it was that after talk, like after the laugh, whether big, small, and how you react to whatever that is, you would change those things. Those were the cards that were different in your act.
Yeah, right.
So but that's reading the audience in a way.
The way I was,
boom, this will work.
Sorry.
Go.
I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No,
but the way I was when you saw me in 92 was so far removed from what I was in 83.
Absolutely.
Because
it has to be.
I was scared. I was timid. I think, the timbre of my voice was completely different. But I was, trying to come up with funny things to say when I should have been coming up with how to be funny.
Oh, how long did it take you to realize how to be funny? How many years?
Well, it was an ongoing evolution, but it took I don't know, probably about 8 years, maybe less.
8
but
years.
It was like,
okay.
Well, to get to where I was in 92.
It's not a bad thing, by the way. I'm just marveling at it because that is, you're a smart guy, and it's sometimes, when we're young, we just we're not seeing deeper than, or deep enough to really get it, and sometimes that it takes a long time to finally realize, here's what I'm doing, and this is kind of the path I've been going on these years, but I just haven't been able to articulate it.
Well, a lot of it too is, I always figure that if you learn how to bomb, you're halfway there. If you get to a point where you're not getting laughs and it doesn't bother you, then you overcome your stage fright, and then you can go. At least in my case, that's what it was. Now, if we go back to the open micers, that never get laughs, they never learn. But
Right.
I mean, some open micers, not all of them. But
No. Right.
in my case, it's like once I got once I got to the point where I bombed and I didn't care, then now that's a stepping stone. Now I can I'll take some chances. What's the worst that's gonna happen? No one's gonna laugh. I've already gone through that. So
in '83, so basically by 1990, you know who you are on stage.
By 1990 I did. Yeah.
You know who you are, and so by '92, you have got that stamped into your brain exactly who you are, and you are that thing that I saw, that amazing just ball of funniness.
I was that thing, yeah.
So bright, you shouldn't look into it, but you have to because it's so funny.
The other thing, you're getting back to like when you're used to not getting laughs, and you probably notice this too. When you finally start getting laughs, it messes up your timing.
Ooh.
It's like, wait, what are you doing? Stop laughing, because I've got something else that's going here. Because I got everything timed to silence.
Time for the
once
bomb.
They start laughing, like, oh, wait a minute.
This is my bomb material, and you're ruining my timing by not letting me bomb. Damn it. Now I'm going to have to come up with a whole new routine. Or at least a whole new attitude.
Yeah, these darn laughs are screwing everything up.
So maybe for the first couple of years, your defense mechanism to handle bombing was to dive into it and use it as the thing you wear and be able to weaponize it for yourself and come out at the other side. Funny, right?
Well, I wasn't scared anymore.
And how long did it take you not to be
so
scared?
I was able to take some chances.
How long did it take? A year, 2 years, 3 years?
To not be scared? It was '83. I was just doing open mics, and I got transferred up to Wisconsin, so I did some stuff in Milwaukee, open mic stuff. And then I moved back home. And then I started,
home to Chicago?
Moved back to Chicago, yeah. And so then I went to the Comedy Cottage and got it.
What year did you move to Chicago?
I moved back. Well, I moved from Chicago to Milwaukee in around, I don't know, the summer of '83.
Okay.
And I was up there for about 6 months, and I moved back.
Okay.
Back home and back to Chicago, and then I started, at the Comedy Womb and
the Comedy Womb,
Comedy Cottage,
what
which
a
I don't
place!
think
The Comedy Womb.
The Comedy Womb, yeah.
In a castle. It was the wrong name. It should have been the Comedy Kingdom or something.
Comedy Womb, where comedians are born.
Yeah, where comedy is born.
Yeah.
In a frickin' castle made in the 1960s.
Yeah. Then there was the Chicago Comedy Showcase, which no one ever talks about, but that was a pretty interesting room. That was like in a big old syrup factory.
Really?
And they had church pews as seats.
No way.
Yeah, and you brought your own booze.
No way! What a place!
Yeah, it was pretty cool. Nora Dunn lived upstairs. She would come down and do sets from time to time.
Wow!
But it was kind of a cool place. I lived kitty corner from there, so I worked there a lot. But I was still trying to figure things out then, So comedy-wise,
Right. So then you're working a regular job. At what point did you then quit your job and go, comedy is the life for me? What was that? How many years in was that?
That was '84. That was like
2
April,
years in?
Almost a year. It was like April or June of '84 they fired me. So I
you were forced.
Lucky enough to start getting some road work after that.
And then focused on that
when I started working the road. Yeah.
Oh wow, man! And you got good on the road, man. What an experience! Look at you.
Yeah, it was fun for I totally burn out on it now. I would
Oh,
never
of
more.
course, but I mean, you started year 1 basically. After that on the road, it took me like to year 5 before I really had the balls to do such a thing.
Well, also too, I was lucky because there weren't a lot of comics then,
That is
and all the
true.
Yoder gigs and stuff were just starting to happen, and they needed people.
Wow, so another new
So
guy
yeah,
say, let's put him to
yeah.
work and say, what? You're available. Let's do it.
COVID hair.
Welcome.
Um, uh, um, but yeah, there were yeah. So we were all getting MC work in Kalamazoo, which is a big deal. Then there was the Comedy Cottage in Maryville. Worked there. Um, yeah, there was a couple clubs in Milwaukee.
So in all those times, you get rid of your fear. You're done being afraid within a couple of years into it, but just because you're forced to be into it. So that's got to be your life. So then you become funny. You find the funny finally, and then you find through the funny who you are going to be from then on.
Yeah.
So then in 1990, when do you start headlining? When is your headlining? When's that going to just start going?
I started headlining in like 88, 8 or 9.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, that's a good amount. I mean, like 83 to 89. I mean, that's about proper for. They say 5 years is the point of where you should know who you are. Like boom.
Yeah,
I get what I'm doing.
I mean, my stage character had evolved.
Of course,
by the time you saw me, and even more, it would evolve by the time when it came to LA too. It was completely different. Well, not
Really?
completely different, but
did you get more copscotchy?
No, I still. I'll be honest with you, I never knew why that joke worked. But it killed every single time.
I think I was kind of there for, once again, this could be a fooling thing, but I think I was kind of doing the road with you or whatever when Copscotch came about. At least I felt like it was born like later in like 96, 7, 8, 9. Was Copscotch born around then?
You know how I right around 96, I think. Yeah,
okay. Yeah, because it was a new. I remember it was because I really idolized you, so I'd see you every time I could, anytime I could. So, and then I saw Copscotch, and I was like, wow, that's really hitting, and that's something completely different. There's a whole other character he is.
In the 88, 89, I know that I was laughing a lot. That was my thing. I would laugh at my jokes. Hey, what do you think?
Yep.
And
your own laugh track.
If you had a tape of early back then, and then a tape from like say 98, 97, it's much more laid back. Mm-hmm. It's still high, still some energy, but I'm not like, hey, here's my joke.
Right. Yeah. Your energy toned down a little bit, but you had that syrup of humor. You could tone it down because you were, through and through, just funny. Like I said, the whole package. Once you had nailed it in 92 when I saw you, I was starstruck. I was like, to know that later I'd actually become friends with you, go over to your house in Pilsen and hang out and have parties with all the Mike Lucas and Kevin Rogers and all them cats.
Afternoons at the casino? Remember we went to the casino a couple afternoons?
Yes. Oh my God, dude. And so we were, remember me and you hung out? I think we did the road together.
Yeah.
A couple of times, some far out gigs, at least Wisconsin or whatever.
I remember you and I did something in Wisconsin, in Madison.
Okay.
And with John Roy.
Okay.
John Roy. Mm-hmm. He was our MC, remember?
Right. He was.
Yeah, that was fun. That was a fun time.
Yeah, that was fun. Yeah, you were just you were a very jovial dude, and the one thing is that you're also, when you drink, you would be extra jovial.
Yeah,
so you were
that's my other secret.
Right, you were a fun drinker guy. You were very fun.
The funny thing is I don't drink very much now. At really hardly at all compared to what I used to. But I'm drinking now because we're talking about back then.
We'll just have to trust you on this one.
Yeah.
This
No,
is
it's
a
true.
rare occasion.
Because I don't do stand up anymore. So I mean, I used to drink. I was in bars
Because you
all the
made
time.
it a prop,
you know?
dude. Your drink was a prop. I remember you
It was
reference
part of
your
the act,
drink, and you were
yeah.
like, "Ooh, little fellow, little
Little
buddy."
buddy.
That was your first stuff, and then Copscotch came around. It kind of morphed from "Ooh, little buddy," and
Yeah.
then you were like, "Ooh." Hello.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be funny if I was a cop?
Yeah.
A cop with a scotch, and then
Yeah.
the way you'd pose it and your voice inflection would change. You'd be that character. You like acting. You were a great actor, dude. Seriously, you are a great actor.
Well,
That's the stuff right there. Oh, you give me a flavor, just a little taste. Oh, that was good. Yeah, you were. Oh, dude. Genuinely, I could say this about you. Every time I hung out with you, or we did the road, or anything, there was never a bad time. No matter whatever serious thing that was going on, it was still always. I mean, your spirit and the way that you come through as just a human being. Like I'm very. It's just a joyful thing to be around. Like you're a joyful guy to be around.
oh,
No, I mean seriously, I bet if I asked anybody around you that would be the case. I'm sure you're awesome with kids. Your wife loved you. All your friends are still around. You know what I mean?
it's amazing I have any friends at all. Yeah, you know how long it's been since I've done stand up? It's been 10 years, over 10 years.
What happened, dude? What happened? That was an hour
Nothing.
of
I just,
gold that
you know,
you just
it's just,
buried forever.
I was, started doing more acting, and I could stay home, and I just got tired.
Were you just not liking doing the same stuff all the time?
What do you
I
mean?
mean, like, was it just getting boring for you? Like, these rubes are falling for this joke that I've done 10 million times.
It gets to the point, for me, it got to the point where it just wasn't in me anymore. I just didn't have the will or the desire to put up with the pre-show stress, travel,
Right.
the travel, dealing with bookers, all
Driving,
that stuff,
a lot of driving.
Driving,
Hours,
hotels. It just,
boring.
I just,
no internet.
I started doing more acting, and that was more of a challenge.
What?
Comedy wasn't that much of a challenge for me anymore. And
No, because God damn it, dude, you had it down. I mean, it was down. I mean, for whatever it's worth, it was just down. I mean, you didn't even have to know the language, and I could just listen to the way your voice was and your body movements and go, damn, that's funny in any language. I mean, you were just funny. And that's why you're such a good, so that is part of you, like, it's like you knew who you were, and that is basically who you are, just, of course, real life, because you can't be that guy on stage all the time. But I'm saying, but through and through, you are joyful human, I guess, would be the most technical thing for it.
Yeah.
Scientists would say.
Well, I feel better since I don't do it anymore. But I look back at like that time of my life sometimes, and I don't see a lot of fun. I see a dark time, and I cringe when I think of myself. Back then,
if you're doing a full week, like if you're doing like 8-9 shows a week, for a fact that you're gonna have to drink 8 or 9 times in a week, without a doubt. Like because you've made it your act. I mean, this is a character on stage, and you have to drink him. And
I've got to be that character. When I'm on the road, I got to be the character. With I was talking to somebody, maybe it was Al Alter, and he was talking about, like he would get done with a show, we'd work with somebody, and they go get something to eat and have coffee someplace. And I remember thinking, after the show, you actually go to a restaurant and you eat. You don't go to the bar and drink. there's somewhere else to go.
What?
It's like I couldn't, I couldn't. It's just like, wait a minute.
Other options?
There's other options besides destroying my kidneys and liver at the bar. I could,
What a
smoking all night.
revelation. What a light bulb that must have popped off on top of your head.
Well, it was too late. It already stopped. It was too late. I wish I'd known that in '89. But but like, and I was guilty of the.
Oh boy!
Remember, we used to go see. I'm sure you would join us. So we go see Pat McCurdy on Monday nights.
Yes.
After all the clubs would close, we'd go, and I'd be all pumped up from the post-show adrenaline. Hey, I'm the guy. And I'd have a couple shots of Rumplemans or something like that, and it just amplify the obnoxiousness.
Yeah, it would be a Monday night at Lounge Jacks on Lincoln Avenue across from the Biograph Theater.
Well, yeah, exactly right. And when I think of that time, I think
93.
I'm sure it was fun for everybody, but when I think of it, all I think is me being loud and obnoxious and ruining Pat McCurdy's great show.
Now,
even though he may be part of the show.
You were part of the show, and actually you were a star basically going in there because once again, this was 92, 93. You were at top of your powers, and you had just because you were at top and getting all those off, how could it not fill your ego up? How could it not fill you up so much that when you go to somebody guy's show, that it's still like, dude, if I needed to, I could take that mic right there and have all these guys laughing for 30 minutes and then give it back to you, Pat McCurdy. So it would just bubble out. But I do remember you being very, once again, very happy that you were there. And when you did say something very joyful, because I think Pat McCurdy also knew that you were a comic and you were very funny, and it was kind of a good thing. So, and your timing was, I don't remember a bad time where you're like, Pat McCurdy, because he could take it. He was great.
I just look at it, I see it differently, Like I said, I'm different than I was back then, and I'm like, wow,
you don't love yourself then like I love you then. We're on two different levels of emotions as far as you are concerned.
I'm just older now, and I'm like, why did I do that? Why would I do something like that?
No, well, just saying, as a person who's a big fan, that does make me biased. I thoroughly, it made the ticket price totally worth it. Dude, and
I will say this: 2 Christmases ago, Zadies had their 40th Christmas party.
Oh wow!
And I got an invitation. I got an email. I was invited. So I thought, fuck it, I'm gonna go.
Really?
So I got a flight and then flew to Chicago for one night.
Wow!
And I went to Zadies, thinking this would be great to see everybody, And
yes.
I saw. A lot of people that I remember, but
Kevin
hardly.
Martin.
Most of the people, I don't know who the hell they were.
Of course.
They didn't know me. I didn't know who the bartender was. My picture wasn't on the wall anymore.
What, it isn't?
No. Maybe somewhere else. Not where
because
it was.
you were probably one of the first ones there, and the thing faded like a bitch. I mean, those things faded out like hell. You give it to them in 87 or 88.
But and then Bert was
Bert's Bert.
He didn't have anything to say about it, but it was cool seeing everybody, but it's like, the thing about stand-up is like, okay, you saw it, you remember the shows, and that's cool, and I'm glad that you got out of it what you got, But
way to belittle my memories. Thank you.
No. I mean, what I'm trying to say is
cool
like,
for you.
It's so temporary, I mean.
But isn't that life? Isn't life just moment to moment? And isn't it just a series of interconnected moments? And for one full 45 to 60 minute connected moments, for many, like thousands of those, you made somebody happy, not think about their cancer, not think about the finances for time, not worry about they're going to get divorced, and for those moments you were you were a rocket ship that took their minds to another place, and that was Planet Funny. And then you jumped around on Planet Funny for a full headliner set. And people still thought about you afterwards until maybe 2 or 3 hours later when they were going to bed. They would remember that they're getting divorced in a week and they're going to lose their place. And man, I ain't got a job. They're laying me off. And when reality came back, but for those times, and that's really all that life is. I mean, there's no big special grand plan or anything. It's all the series of moments that you live. They're all important. And you were just a vehicle to get people's minds off of their troubles and worries or whatever they think, because everybody's been thinking weird shit. It's not just now. Everybody throughout of all times were coming to those shows hoping to escape into somewhere, and you took them there professionally, and you managed it, and then you got off. Now, it may have been hell for you, but I'm just
exactly
saying
hell.
for those moments,
It wasn't
it
hell,
was
yeah.
beautiful. It was a beautiful thing that you were doing for humanity. I mean, you're doing the Lord's work up there when you're making
The
people
Lord's
laugh.
work.
The Lord's
The
work.
Lord's work.
Take your mind off your problems, and let's.
The funny thing was when I started acting, that was even more substantial because there'd be something left to see later. You know what I mean?
Sure, permanence.
Yeah. But when I was doing that, the thing about that is like there is no audience, so you
Right,
you do your thing, and it's almost like okay.
There's
So,
always
that
a
was,
flaw in everything, isn't there? Nothing is perfect. Nothing.
But now I'm painting now, and I like that because that lasts. Yeah, I got paintings all over the place. They're not going away. So
Absolutely. Well, right now it is you with you. I mean, especially in these times of what's going on. I mean, like I told you, what a great time not to have to do the road and stuff, or that be your livelihood.
Oh yeah.
These days now are perfect. You've hit it. You're cresting on your good decision not to be in comedy right now. It's you're getting to know yourself again.
Timing. It's all timing.
Timing. Yes, you've been ready for this for 10 years now.
Yeah, I know. It's like Lenny Schmidt was. He did a quarantine comedy thing on Facebook.
He's doing it still, right?
Yeah, he's still doing it. But I did it once. I did one episode of that.
How was that for you?
It's fun. But I feel bad for him and for all my comic friends.
Why?
Because they can't do comedy now. They've got to do
bad like that. Yeah, okay.
So especially Lenny. I mean, he was doing the ships, and that's
big money. Cruise ships.
I know, but who's going to go on a cruise now? That'd be. I know that. But
Trump supporters maybe just starts wearing a MAGA hat and then hits all the Trump cruises.
Yeah, put them all on the ship.
And then he has to explain to everybody, look, it's just for the money. That's not the real me. I have an audience and I'm on a cruise with these people for a month, so give me a break.
I think that they should book a whole bunch of Trump cruises right around November 3rd.
Oh, nice. Yeah, free cruise. I'd say on November 2nd, we're going to go out on a Let's Vote cruise and accidentally get lost at sea for 2 days. And then we'll come right back.
Vote right here on the ship.
Whoops, we're in international waters. We can't vote right now, and the engines are out.
Yeah, can't vote right. We'll turn the boat around right away.
Oopsie.
4 more years. 4 more years.
I hope he wins when we get back. All the internet's out.
I would go out of my mind.
But that Lenny guy is funny.
I would go out of my mind. Somebody told me that there's rooms. The rooms that they put the comics in are below the water.
Ooh, what does that do to your? Is it a psychological thing, or is there a certain physiological thing where you'll get more sicker if you're that low?
I think it's just an economic thing. Nobody wants to pay for a room that low.
Is it because, like the Titanic, those are the people who are going to die first if it hits an iceberg?
What do they call it? Steerage? Is that steerage?
Oh, and I know also why. Because those lower decks are louder, aren't they? Isn't that where the motor and stuff is, or all the steam, and where they're shoveling coal into it? Like 12 guys shoveling coal.
it's not just that like you've got all this downtime,
Yeah.
you got like a week of downtime, sometimes more.
Yeah, and I'm going to go 20
you're
feet
stuck on this boat,
below sea level now to go to sleep.
totally removed from the world.
Yeah.
Oh, it's these guys love them though. I get
Yeah.
It's like you're on endless vacation. Like the Ramones song, "Endless Vacation."
Well, it's all a mindset, no matter where you are or what you do. Isn't that true? I mean, like no matter where you are, so that's where you are.
Yeah,
and so
yeah.
that whole thing about the grass is always greener on the other side, it's a myth. It's because you're going to the other side. It's still going to be you. So you're going to go into the same old patterns. You're going to start getting into the same old thoughts. Things aren't going to be working out. All of a sudden, grass is greener style. And if you're a depressed person on one side, you're a depressed person on the other side eventually, no matter how pretty or whatever it is.
There's never going to be that thing.
Yeah.
You're never going to find whatever it is.
So then it's all up to you to, and here's the one thing that I've found as I've gotten older, this is a piece of wisdom, that you can actually convince yourself and trick your mind. So in other words, if you're thinking everything's down and terrible, you can kind of, through training of thought and forced smiles, you can make things positive and move and think in a more positive way and become more relaxed and comfortable in your situation. Do you know what I'm saying?
I think I do, yeah.
So you do have the power to love what you do. So in other words, those people who are loving those cruises, in one sense, like, oh, I would hate it. But then in another sense, if you just learn to love it, it's awesome, right? Because, hey, no problem. I got to eat
the guys that do it, they swear by it.
I can work out. I'm getting good sun. I could get a tan. I can work out more.
I can see the world.
People like me here. I'm doing a good set. I'm kind of famous.
Eat exotic cuisine. I could work out more.
I'm getting paid. I'm saving money. I'm, not spending
also
rent.
Regarding those ships, I mean, I guess one wrong move, and you're out.
Oh, right. I heard about one. It was a Disney thing. Do you know what it was? Was it in the last year?
No, what happened? Oh, this is awesome. I love this.
I think I actually did a podcast with him. What the thing was, I can't remember who it was, but he got kicked off the ship for talking about Minnie Mouse's ass. He said it talked about her ass. It went to Disney World and saw her ass
on the Disney ship.
On the Disney ship, I guess it was the Late Show, and he was getting a little body, and he decided to cross a line.
Did they?
What they
did
did
they
was
leave him in a port?
they stopped the show. They disconnected his mic, and they bled him off. Cop Scotch came up there and pulled him off slowly and calmly.
Did they cuff him?
Here's what they did. They did not wait but mere hours before they called in a helicopter to get him off the ship.
Yeah.
Oh my God, no! I know who it was, and it wasn't him.
I've heard stories about stuff.
It wasn't him. I know who it was. I can tell you. You ready?
Yeah.
Sonia White.
It was Sonia White?
Sonia White.
Why are you telling me this embarrassing story about Sonia White?
Sonia, we went. I did a podcast with her. I haven't published it or anything, but we talked about it. She talked about the story, and I just remembered how I know it so well because we went over it thoroughly. Yeah, she said something about I don't know, it was Minnie Mouse's ass.
She told a joke about Minnie Mouse's ass.
She said basically a dirty word with a Disney character in that sense. I don't know the exacts of it, but
if she saw Minnie Mouse's penis,
something sexual with a Disney character in some big innuendo way that was too big to be an innuendo, too blatant, and they helicoptered her right off the boat.
I hear stories about that. It's not the first person that ever got helicoptered off the boat.
Sorry, people are crying in the
just
audience.
Like throwing you overboard, the lifeboat or something like that. But I guess the other thing is they'll leave you at a port, and then you got
that would happen, but it was so severe that they had to get a helicopter and medevac her out. Like, get on there. It landed on the ship. Everybody knows there's a helicopter landing, and it's taken the comic who talked about Minnie Mouse's ass 3 hours ago.
Oh man! The thing is, I would have I would have felt terrible after that. It would have bugged me for
Oh
months.
my God, dude. Well, clearly
Yeah.
bugged her enough to have brought it up and mentioned it.
Yeah,
Um,
it's hilarious.
it is embarrassing. It's like, yeah, and she told me what it was, and geez, man, you got to really have a stick up your ass to. I mean, geez, it wasn't so horrible, but yeah, they were extreme measures.
Brian Schmidt, I don't know. You probably don't know Brian, but I think he probably shouldn't have mentioned his name, but I think he got kicked off for making fun of the captain.
Ooh,
Yeah, of the ship. So it's like
Personal.
I don't know. It's
politics there.
just it's weird, but.
Yeah, you watch your P's and Q's, but if you're good, if you're like, just a good comic, like Geechee Guy or something.
It's got nothing to do with being good. It's got what to do with performing what they want.
In other words, a good boy or a good girl.
There you go. That's it. So if you got your really clean thing that works with the crowd, then I think Lenny does a lot of relationship baby stuff about his kids and.
Sure, it's like light road material.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I'm not saying this happened to Lenny or anything like that, but I could see if you do a lot of those, it's an act killer. I mean, what do you got when you if you start doing clubs again?
Oh, so you get so ingrained and used to that style of comedy, then when you need to go into the big world, you're in some other era.
But I heard that I don't think I know anyone that does schools anymore. But I think that's like the really rough one. Do schools now.
Well, if you can do a school, then you truly know that you are a good boy or a good girl.
Yeah.
You are very good.
Or gender neutral. You're good.
Very gender neutral. Good. Maybe that's a little too harsh, but
I did a show one time up in Sacramento, and the owner of the club was like. It's one of those club owners that makes it about him,
In what sense? Give me an example.
It's my show, it's my club. You know what I mean? That kind of guy.
Mobster style.
Yeah, I got along with him fine.
Ego style.
There was 2 acts before me, and there was this bachelorette party, and they you know how they could be, and
Heckle City.
And he comes back in the green room, and I guess they were just heckling the shit out of these poor guys.
Oh, fuck.
And he comes back, and he's telling me how to handle them. I go, yeah, I can handle them.
Oh, yeah, what's his advice?
I've done this before. He says, I got these people, I got them to shut up. And you got to out there,
You got to call them a bunch of cunts. You understand? If you don't say they're cunts, they're going to run you over.
He didn't say that. He didn't say that. But I went up there, and I just figured, you can't deal with these. I'm just going to barrel through them.
Because they're so drunk, they don't even realize.
Just ignore them. And everything's going fine.
Yeah.
And apparently somebody with the bachelorette party went back into the bar area and started arguing with the owner.
Oh, why?
And the owner said, fuck you. I'll just stop this show right now.
No.
Now, I can't hear this from stage because it's going on outside of the room. So
oh, shit. It's his show.
He comes back in, and in the middle of a bit, and I'm doing well. By the way, I'm doing very well on stage right now.
Of course you are. You're Steve Seagren.
In the middle of the bit, he goes, Steve, I'm stopping the show. Folks, you'll get a refund at the door. Show's over. Cuts the mic. I was like, what the fuck?
Just because of one girl getting, what was she angry about?
It was a guy. It was a guy, and they were having a big dick contest. Oh yeah, you think you're somebody? Well, I'll show you. I'll stop the show right now.
That's power. He did have power.
Yeah. So somebody called the cops. So the cops came.
Yeah.
And now they're interviewing me. Like, can you tell me what happened, Mr. Seagren? I'm like, yeah, I'm on stage, and he said he's going to stop the show. What do you want?
Yeah, I'm in the middle of my dentist bist where I can hear the music, but I can still hear the drill. I was about to land the punch, and this guy pulls him, put him in jail forever. Cops, this guy's terrible.
But yeah, it's like I never worked a club again. He never asked me back, and I never wanted to go back. But it's like one of those things. Like for about a week or two after that, in the back of my mind, I kept thinking it was my fault.
Right.
But it wasn't my fault. It was this guy stopped the fucking show himself.
Exactly. But yeah. It's
the most unprofessional thing I think I've ever seen. And it was, So weird, but
I mean, it's kind of like a psycho move, just not caring about anybody's feelings or anybody.
Mm-hmm.
Just like it's kind of a psycho move that you just don't have any empathy for anything in your comic,
it's my club.
your audience.
I don't care if the club is full.
Right.
I'm going to show you one guy. I'm going to show you
one
guy.
Take
a hit on all this money I just made.
All the fun they're having. They're laughing. Like this guy knows the audience is laughing enough to walk in the room and be able to tell you to shut down the show.
And I wonder how many of them ever came back to that club.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a stupid thing.
So, and technically, I think the other guy won by having that happen. Go, fuck you and your club. Oh, yeah? Fuck me and my club? I'm going to fuck my club up myself. So. I'm fucking it up. Get ready for a bad reputation, everybody. Get out of here.
Also, since, the show's done early, I got nowhere to go. I stayed. Drank the rest of his scotch.
Oh, right. Yeah, he had to pay in one way or the other. You're not like
damn right.
He's not getting over on
sorry, sir.
Copscotch. Yeah. Sorry, sir. You'll
rue the day you booked me, sir.
Yes. Because I'm about to book you with the Copscotch tax. You're paying a toll.
A Copscotch tax. One time I worked at the Funny Bone in Green Bay. I worked there one day, Darren. One day. I filled in for somebody. And I get to the club, and I'm going to have my drink. We always had 2 drinks before the show to get ready, and then one to bring on stage.
Rocket fuel.
So
comedy rocket fuel.
So I go to the bar, and I'm like, can I get scotch in the rocks? And he's like, what kind do you want? I'm like, just give me the well. That's fine. And he goes, well, why don't you have Johnny Black?
Oh, boy, you upsold you.
All right, I'll get Johnny Black. Because back then, Johnny Black was top shelf.
Oh, which you didn't know then.
And so I drank Johnny Black the rest of the night.
Oh,
The next day, they initiated the Steve Seagren rule.
Ooh, oh, you drank him out.
No top shelf booze for any comic.
Oh, I got it. I
found that out months later. Like, hey, they got a rule about you at the Green Bay Funny Bone.
I thought you were going to go. He was another one of those asshole club owners, and then he upsold you and then gives you the bill for it, and you owe him now. That would be the worst. Like, oh, shit, I'm 100 in debt.
That's happened before where I, get paid. And remember the club owner, he pays me but doesn't mention the booze. He didn't say anything about it. So I'm like, oh.
Oh, it was a little light on the check.
I guess it was free. No, it wasn't right. The check was fine. I'm like, all right. So I didn't say anything.
Okay.
So he drops me off at the airport.
Okay.
As I'm getting out of the car, he hands me the bill for the booze. And
What? At the airport? Like he drove you all the way there and then gives you the bill?
Yeah, and then gave me the bill.
And does he know you have cash on you at that moment from his club?
Yeah, because he paid me. Yeah.
Wow, that's a good move. No time to sit there and argue and yell. You got a plane to catch, buddy.
Yeah. But the thing is, of course I'm going to pay him. But I mean, the thing is,
because you want to work there again.
He could have mentioned it when I was sitting in the room with him, and he's paying me. He could have said, "Well, you have this much of a bar bill," and I would have gladly paid it. And since he didn't, I assumed, well, all right, I guess it's on the house.
Well, you know what he didn't want to deal with? He didn't want to deal with like a real negative emotion coming from you, or at least while you were there for the rest of the time, being all sad-faced or feeling that. So he felt the one moment that he could do that and just go, was right as you're about to walk to your airplane.
You know what it was? You know what? I had to stay over an extra day to do some private show, an outdoor show for him.
Oh.
At a park.
Okay.
And if I remember right, the show, they had me up in like this tower, looking down at these people
down on the people.
Grass.
Hello, citizens. Yeah.
How's everybody doing down there? It was like an F Troop tower. You know what I mean?
Oh, right. Yeah. You're like,
what's going on?
You're like at the Alamo doing comedy right before the invasion.
So I had to stay over to do that show. And then the next day when he's driving me back, then I know why he didn't. Yeah, he wanted to make sure I stuck around to do that show.
Exactly, because you might go, well, fuck you then. And you would still have power over him.
It is a little insulting to wait until the last minute to say, hey, you owe me for the booze. He could have easily done that before. But,
Or
Then
at
there's the guy.
least it's split half with you. You know what I mean? Like, look,
Yeah.
man, you just drank $200 worth of our
Yeah, yeah,
shit.
yeah,
And come on, pitch in 100 and we'll call it even.
yeah. Then there was the guy that this is towards the end of my career, just a stand up. Uh,
So
the
this is
guy out
in
here.
2020s, the 2008, 2009, 11.
No, I think it's like maybe '06, '07.
Oh six oh seven, right
Yeah,
at
yeah,
the
yeah.
end
We're
there.
getting towards the end, but he booked a bunch of one nighters here in like one at Huntington Beach, Big Sur, not Big Sur, Big Bear, all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a club in down by the Marine base where Gomer Pyle was, Pendleton. So down by Camp Pendleton.
Oh, okay.
So we did this show there. I can't remember the name of the club. And I did work there a couple times. It's never a great gig, but the shows were always okay.
Mm-hmm.
And he calls me up to work there, and he says, he's like, Steve, they want you back. They want you to come back at this place. And I'm like, all right. And he goes, but the owner was talking about the last time you were here. The owner says, he didn't like that you drank that much. And at that point, I was like fed up with this bullshit. That's what I said. I'm tired of dealing with bookers.
Right.
I'm like, okay, did he say that I don't? That he thinks I drink too much or I drink too much for free? He goes,
Right.
oh, no, it's not like that. It's just like, you know what? I'm a grown man.
Yeah.
I'm like, fuck it. He could say something like that to my face because I knew
Sure.
it wasn't the owner. It was the booker because he had to pay for the drinks. It was the booker doing this, but he was saying it's the other guy. And I said, I'm a grown man. I'm 50 years old now, over 50 at that time. But I said, I'm not going to work the club again. That's it. He said, no, I don't want. No, I go, no, that's it. I'm not going to work it. And then I felt so. I hate to use the word, but empowered.
Oh, wow.
I'm like, I don't have to take this bullshit from anybody anymore.
That's a big step.
I'm like, you know what? I don't need your $50 or whatever it was he's paying me. It was
Right.
more than 50, but I don't need it. So I'm not going to work it. If he doesn't like it, too bad. He can get somebody else. I don't need it.
All right.
And it's funny because every time he called after that, I'm like, nah, not working. So it felt so good.
Yeah.
To say that,
Wow. That's the moment. So there's the moment.
Yeah.
That's great. I mean, that's how it happens, actually. That's the moment where you've said that thing and then you're walking away and go, I can't believe I just said that.
I know. It felt good.
Why didn't I say
that
before? It's really, I am, worth it. I'm worth the drinks.
The thing is that, it's like, why didn't I think of doing that before? I mean, there's a lot of stuff I could have done.
Sure.
Because it's like the whole thing was like I learned early on. It's like not about getting booked in the club is one thing and doing good shows, but you want to get booked back.
Mm-hmm.
The whole thing's about getting booked back. So I would try not to fuck anything up. Sometimes I did, but I try not to. But that was just like so freeing. I'm like, I don't care.
Right. No, you were once again. You were just funny in all the other places. You like slayed in Milwaukee. That. Smelling that dairy air, forget about it, dude. Those people were on the floor. You were slaying everywhere you went, and the club owners just knew it. Going back just a little bit into, so let me see how I'm gonna broach this. So let me go to me. So when I started doing the road, so I got my 30 minutes and I got it solid, right? And then at some point I became afraid to write anything new because I'm feeling responsible because I'm getting paid and there's these guys came here and even though they're not coming to see me necessarily, I need to support who the headliner is. I want to make the party fun for everybody and I don't want to be the weak link. Yeah. So I found that I have this 30 road minutes, right? And every time I'm doing the road, I just won't do anything else. There's no improv in between. Like you would have like a different saying to, in case it bombed or whatever. Like you prepared yourself for that. I didn't have any of that. I just sort of, was all in. Anyways. I became both tired of my act, but also, well, another thing that was going on, I didn't have the self-esteem enough to ever want to move into headliner position. In other words, I don't want to be the pinnacle. I don't have the confidence in myself that I'm that good. I don't think I'll ever be that good. So there was this stuff beating my own self up. It just comes from years of bullying when I was a kid, getting bullied when I was a kid. So by the time the headliner thing happened, or like could have happened, I didn't want to go I didn't like that position. I did it a couple of times. I hated it. I don't want to be responsible for the whole thing. I don't, it gives me a weird extra nervousness. My first 2 years of doing stand-up comedy, every single time I went up to an open mic, I had diarrhea. If not once, 2 or 3 times, depending on how nervous I was. For 2 years.
You're not the only one. I know other people, that happens to too. It's never happened to me, but I tell you something about headlining's not all it's cracked up to be. You don't want a headline. It's like,
well, that was the natural progression, isn't it? Especially back in the 90s, you're like, how are you going to make money?
When I moved out here, I didn't want a headline anymore. I didn't even ask. I said, middle. Right. Because you work more. Mm-hmm. They'll book middles in more frequent rotation than they will headliners. And it's such a no pressure situation.
Right. Well, you're so pro.
Headliners got all the fucking. They got to close the show. They got to follow 2 acts. They got to work when they're dropping the checks.
Right.
They got to do more time.
Well, you had to do those things in certain areas. You had to do that stuff. You had to be the one that, can you go? We don't. Our middle act isn't here. Can you go up a little now, and then just go a little longer? All that shit.
It's a funny thing about comedy. It's like when you new. You want to do as much time as you can.
Yeah.
When you're a veteran, you want to do less time.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And I liked middling because I could rock for 30 minutes, no pressure.
Yeah, middling.
Just go up there. I could fucking blow them out for 30 minutes.
Yep.
Get my money, go home early.
Yes.
Let the headliner deal with it.
I liked middling, but I got tired of me, and then I just.
You shouldn't go through a thing where you're afraid. That's middling. Break into new material, man. You're not going to ruin anything. It's like the headliner's got to follow you no matter what.
I wasn't that mature back then. I wasn't that wise to think that. I just was all about me and how I was feeling, and I just wasn't feeling right. So I stopped doing. I stopped doing the road, and I still had comedy in me though, and then I started doing the open mics again and just showcasing around Chicago.
Yeah.
And so through the early 2000s on up, through 2006 or so, I was just, being really, great, showcase for free comic around town. Mm-hmm. Doing new material and being risque, and that was the most fun that I had, was being around because you knew everybody. But I got caught in that trap, and then I didn't know what to do, and so then I went back into school, and I became a teacher for a decade in CPS.
Are you still teaching?
No, it was such a stressful job, and then I got diverticulitis, and it was in the hospital when I was close to death because there was a pinhole size thing in my colon that they didn't stitch right, and then there was feces leaking into my blood, and I waited till I had like 105 fever to go back into the hospital, just thinking my fever was trying to work. You know how you justify whatever you're sick with. And go like, I would
have done the same thing. Nancy probably would have dragged me in.
Yeah, and so then
she would have doped me up and dragged me in.
Yeah, I was home alone. My wife was at work, and I was like, I think I'm going to need to call a taxi cab, and I taxi cabbed myself to the doctor at like 105. Mm-hmm. And then the doc said basically, hey, if you would have waited maybe through the night, you wouldn't be alive tomorrow. You know what I mean?
Jeez.
Like I was done that. And then as he's saying that, there's a morphine drip going into me, and so then I take that terrible news that I'm mortal, and I process it, and then just sort of lock onto, you're going to die. You're going to die someday. You're not immortal. You're going to die. You're getting old. You look, this what happened to you. You couldn't have no control over it. This was in the 1800s. You'd be a dead man a long time on the trail just to just a cross off the side of the wagon trail. You know what I mean? So all those thoughts, and that really, like, for a couple of days, I'm on morphine, and that thought's rolling through my head. It's like the worst, deepest depression when you realize, it's like you're a superhero, and you realize you're not a superhero anymore. You know? And so then I came out of that, and I had balls, and I said, I'm going to quit this $70,000 a year job that I've been having, where you don't want me to come back next year, but I quit. And I quit, and then I... Whew.
Wow. You and Paul DiGiulio is a teacher, too.
Yeah, Paul DiGiulio, he's a different breed of cat in school. He can be in the worst classroom and get them to do what they say. He is a very commanding... drill sergeant-minded guy.
Let me ask you something. Have you heard from Paul?
I did a podcast with him last year.
I've been trying to call him.
Okay, let me write it down. I will contact him, and then I'll get him in contact with you.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Because I have his phone number.
I had a dream about him the other night, and I was like, in the dream, I'm like, I've been trying to call you. But whenever I dream about somebody I hadn't seen in a while, it always makes me think it's bad news.
But so therefore, no matter what, though, you should act on it and try and call them, right? So you did.
Oh, yes, that's why I asked.
No, you did the right thing. You did the right thing. Don't deny those thoughts with something negative.
When I had my heart attack.
What?
Did you know that? Yeah.
No. Were you posting it on Facebook? I'm having a heart attack now. LOL. Whoa! Here's a picture of the concrete I just fell into.
You got a heart attack.
That's Steve, always being funny.
What was I going to say? Oh, yeah. No, it's like 2011. But I was in intensive care, so that I had a headache.
Whoa.
They got me all hooked up
Whoa.
with everything, and they said, well, for pain, we have a list of stuff you can have. So they read me off the list of drugs that I'm, okayed for, like a wine list.
Yeah.
You could have morphine, Dilaudid.
Yeah.
You could have blah blah blah. With that
fentanyl.
List.
Was fentanyl in there?
I don't remember fentanyl.
Was the strongest drug ever in that list?
but I remember going like, I think tonight I'll have the Dilaudid.
Oh, what a wonderful thing!
Which is awesome.
You must have had a great insurance.
Except it makes you sweat like crazy.
Oh yeah.
So they gave me Dilaudid. It was just a headache. But
what does it feel like? The high of Dilaudid?
Oh, it's kind of like morphine. It's like a morphine high. It's just
you feel strong. You feel
you're kind of euphoric. I don't care.
I don't care. Euphoric. I don't care. That's a good description.
You're kind of like, what could go wrong?
What could go wrong?
Beautiful, yeah. I mean, sweat is like pouring off me. Nancy's like this. I'm like,
the sponge. Yeah, like one of those comedy shows, like the Three
Stooges.
Like curly sweating.
They had me hooked up to this thing that would like automatically take my blood pressure.
Mm-hmm.
Like every, I don't know.
Oh, right. You go
half or something like that.
Your arm would be like, oh, God dang it. Yeah.
My blood pressure would come up on the
there. Oh,
so my brother was there, my daughter, Nancy, and which was kind of stressful. I'm like, what the fuck are you guys all doing here?
Yeah, right.
And so I'm like, let's make bets on where the blood pressure is going to end up.
Oh, so every time the blood pressure, everybody's wagering. Look at you.
Because after my heart attack, it's so erratic. It's like, it's going up and down. It's like my heart trying to even itself out. And so I would start laughing and
oh boy. Yeah. This sounds like a plot for an episode of Copscotch, the series.
But the funny thing is, like, when you're surrounded, and you probably got this too, when you're surrounded by all these people, your loved ones, and they're all looking at you with that concerned look.
And you're high.
And you're high. It's like, come on, get out of here, you guys.
Yeah, this is you're bumming my high out right now. This whole room is bumming my high out.
You're harshing my mellow, man.
Yeah, that person dying in the next room screaming is really harshing me. Yeah, like for days, and so that sunk into my psyche, and then I quit, and I kind of been in a weird way since that moment, kind of a little lost on the sea. I'm not exactly sure who I am, even to this day. It's
in the comedy scene.
No, just as like I lost my mooring. Like, was I a teacher? Was I a stand-up comic? Was I a army guy back then? What am I now? Like, am I a woodworker? Am I a podcaster? Am I this thing that I'm doing right now? But I'm getting paid and I'm on unemployment for the last couple of months.
Yeah.
And it's just in this kind of I'm kind of adrift a little bit.
Yeah. I felt, I was adrift like a couple years ago, because everything, it was, I wasn't getting out on auditions like I used to.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's gotten older, and you get to a certain age out here and things kind of stop. It's not,
because
it's not
so
even a gradual
superficial.
thing. It's just things kind of stop. The phone
You're in a
stops ringing,
superficial place where every blemish is judged. Somebody's earwax is.
But I moved on. I found my own thing. So, now I'm, like I said, I'm painting. I paint all the time. So that's, the thing is, with painting, that's what I went to school for. That was my.
That was your first love?
My first thing, my first love, yeah. So I'm back to doing that, and I'm perfectly happy with it, Of course, I'm getting Social Security now.
Okay.
And a retirement thing, so money's not an issue.
So you're basically retired, and you're a painter. You've realized.
I'm a painter. Yes, I'm a painter now. Yeah. So but like I said, having money come in makes it easy. If I didn't have that, I don't know what I would be doing.
You'd be a road comic again. You're like, oh no, the road.
But I just I can add that to my list of things that I've done. I've done stand up. I made a film. I was an actor.
Mm-hmm.
I wrote a script. I painted a picture. So
dude, yes, just you existing, being alive, and here talking is like it's just awesome. At least these moments I've once again been talking to you, I feel like that audience that you made forget about all their stuff, even though somehow you got me to bring up my diverticulitis and midlife crisis. But still, other than that, no, just kidding. I'm kidding.
Don't say that. I bet your shows are great. I'm gonna have to look. Are they on YouTube?
Yeah, so this is on YouTube. I'll send this. I'm gonna probably put this one up by Friday of next week, or Friday this week maybe. And cool. What you'll do is email me a thing and give me anything. So if you sell your paintings online, or you have a gallery, you can give me a link and I'll put it in the description of the YouTube thing. And or whatever you want to have said. You could talk about your girl Nancy, and you could talk whatever you want to promote their stuff. Or I don't know if anybody's ever going to watch this much. I'm just starting on the ground floor. They say it takes like a year or two to build yourself up.
Oh, yeah.
And so
that's cool though. It's a cool idea. What is the title of it?
Searching.
I just saw the WFMF.
SFWWM. Searching for Wisdom Within the Madness.
Oh.
So
did we do that here?
Well, we definitely talked about the madness. That's the one thing. It should be just called the madness, because that's what we get into.
Yes. I think you should call it Sharing with Darren.
Sharing with Darren, a journey into madness. Yeah.
If you want to sound like an afternoon talk show.
Yeah. Oh, sure.
Hey, welcome to Sharing with Darren.
Yeah.
What's that?
I'm the worst.
Like, hey.
I don't promote myself. I don't. I haven't even asked really people to subscribe, but once maybe. So it's like
I'll promote it. Come and see me on Darren's Searching for Wisdom Within the Madness.
Yeah, I like it. I think here's my theory: if people get half the emotional connection that I get from doing it, if that transfers somehow through the internet, then that's good enough for me.
Yeah,
because it is just an emotional escape and a place to go to. But
that's great. Yeah.
I would like to maybe in the future talk to you again, and then we'll talk about more of the now. Because I just did want to talk about those old days and reminisce with some of that stuff. With the Copscotch. And then we didn't really even talk about too much about Pilsen and then all the other comics hanging out there. And,
that was awesome. Those were good days.
That was like a year, about a year long, right? And everybody was kind of in everybody else's business.
I lived there from
Well, you were there for a longest, but people moved
96
towards
to,
you.
to 98 when I moved to California. So only a couple years. Yeah.
Yeah.
We used to have. Did you have lunches with us over at the Mexican place or no?
I don't remember. I remember just going to your house, just being a guest with me, coming in to see you, and then Nancy being there and being very awesome, and then just I don't even know what we did, but we had fun, or at least I did.
Yeah, that was always cool. I liked it. I miss those.
Yeah.
Pilsen was a cool neighborhood.
I like your style, all your pictures on Facebook of like old things from the 60s and characters and all that stuff. So that stuff is awesome. Yeah. It was, it's just, I will say, that first time that I met you, that whole memory and everything, I mean, you there's a bright spot in my mind where you are in the past there. And I'm just glad to talk to you finally, because we were really good. We should, honestly, as good enough friends that we were when we left, we should have talked way more than we've talked up to this point. Yeah, absolutely. You're right. Yes. We kind of out of sight, out of mind. Yeah. I'm guilty of that big time, and I understand. It's hard to do like 2,000 miles away. It is. And then we changed. I mean, I couldn't be for sure that you were 100% Steve Seagren that I remembered in my mind. I was hoping, and you are. But good. You know what I mean? How things change. I'm balder than I was. It barely. Your face though, it's still there. You still got the Steve Seagren face that I remember so well. Oh man, I think is there if we end it right about here, and then cool. We could maybe do something in the future. Definitely, maybe absolutely sounds cool. This show will evolve, so stay in touch. I got other things, people coming up that you'll know. Guess who I'm doing within the week? Who? Tom Brogan. Oh, Tommy! He has never done anybody's podcast ever. It's going to be the first one he does. Then you must tell him I said hi. I will tell him you said hi. And you can talk about Pilsen then. All right, so just really quick before we end here, is there anything that you could tell me about Tom that I don't know? Because I never knew him that well. I hung out with him. He told me some stories and things. But is there anything? I know that his brother was a head writer of The Tonight Show. I know that he was in Vietnam or chaplain's helper. I know that those things. And I remember one bit he did where he would pretend he's smoking weed and then he would hold his breath so long his face would get really, really red on stage. And I'm like, dude, that is almost dangerous. You're going to kill yourself. There's high blood pressure. There's one thing, I don't know if we want this to go out unless he wants to talk about it. Okay. But, so maybe you could edit it out or something. But there is one thing he shaved his head, and he was very into not having hair. Yeah. So he decided to shave his eyebrows. I remember he shaved his head. Didn't he have a mole on his head or something? No, that was Lucas. Lucas shaved his head shortly after. Man, Lucas, yes. And he left a little like Hare Krishna, which he got rid of it. Sure. But anyway, so Tommy shaved off his eyebrows, and we were all at Burton Place. Mooney. And I was looking at Tom. I'm like, Tom, did you shave your eyebrows off? He's like, yeah, blah, blah, blah. And this chick was like all over Tommy. No way. Just would not let him go. He ends up going home with her. What? And that look worked? He might tell you this story. All right. So I asked about it later. And apparently she thought he was going through chemo and he was going to die. And she wanted to give him one last go round before he gave up the mortal coil, as they say. Wow, I didn't even think of that angle. So she asked him. I didn't know why she was doing it. How long do you have? And he said, what are you talking about? And she got pissed and threw him out. Was that pillow talk? Hopefully it was afterwards. I don't know. How long do you have? I don't know. I don't even know if that's a true story, but it makes me laugh so hard. All right, I'm gonna ask him. It'll either be on here or it won't. I'm gonna talk to him soon. That's a great story. Oh man, it's like, oh my god, reminds me of like Fight Club when he's trolling all all the therapy places.
Yeah, he's like, I'm not dying. What are you talking about?
That one lady.
He had no hair, no eyebrows, and he was undergoing chemo. And Tom, he's all tall and skinny. She thought he was dying
Right.
from cancer.
Yeah, he's thin, dude. I think he's thin to this day.
Yes. That's because he eats very slow.
Right.
I always thought my brother eats slow, and he's tall and skinny too. And I thought, that to lose weight, the key is to eat slow. So I was thinking of like inventing silverware.
Yeah.
That heats up and burns your hand.
Ooh, if
so
you keep
can't
it
go
longer.
like this. You're like, you got to put it down.
It has a time limit
wait
on
for
it.
it to cool off. And then
Right. Or it has a little stopwatch, like a 5-second timer before it shocks you. Yeah. Put it back on its contact plate.
Slow.
Oh, that is something. Yeah, that is a way to do it. Some people need that a pain reinforcement. That does work. Pavlov's dog is an example. Well, his was just a bell, but Pavlov, I'm sure, shocked some animals before he got to the bell with the dog.
He had to. He found the right dog.
If I shoot this monkey in the back, will he? Every time I shoot him, will he get the food? Maybe that was a little too harsh. We're going through too many monkeys.
Other monkeys see it happen.
Yeah. See,
use him as an example.
Get the food. Pavlov was it started out really harsh and then it mellowed up to a bell. Started off with
We've been going about this the wrong way.
He was a little too aggressive in the beginning. He really wanted results fast, and he thought gun would do it. Oh man! Once again, thanks, man. So we right on 90 minutes. So we're coming 16 seconds until a 90-minute show that we did. So I'm trying to keep tight on time. Well, here's all I want to close with. I just want you to accept all the love that I have for you in my heart.
I do.
Just see it as a good thing. Choose to see it as a good thing. And
I do.
I'm not a weirder, and I'm not a stalker, so you don't have to worry about me. Or I'd be the worst stalker. I wait 20 years before we talk. I'm a Zoom stalker who's really so shy. He just waited this long to talk to you. Anyways, Steve Seagren, man, thank you, dude. I'll put this up. I will text you when I do it. I'm working on this stuff, and I'm gonna see if I can make this my living. I think there's enough nuggets of comedy and fun in every one. Sometimes maybe you have to wait through a little bit of boring stuff. But who's perfect with these podcasts? Who's every word's great? You know what I mean?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So if you can feel the realness and the emotion, that's what counts.
Yeah. And you look cool with I like the tie.
Thanks. I wore this for you.
Yeah.
Because you like things, and I thought. So just as the last thing, who truly is your favorite? I know you like them all. Yeah, I know you like them all, but who's you most prefer the most? Is it him?
No, actually, I think I like Shemp a little better.
I get it. Shemp,
as a kid, I didn't like Shemp.
Right.
But when I got older,
he's got that face, dude. Shemp has that face because he was in Universal movies, but he has. There is something about his face where. Yeah, I can see why you'd like Shemp because you're right. Personally,
I saw a clip of a Three Stooges clip without the Foley sounds. It's just them going through the motions, doing what they're doing without the noise.
Sound effects. Yeah, it must be crazy.
It's so weird.
Right.
It is so weird to see. Those noises were over half of their act. Boing, ching, chang.
No, yeah.
But without it, it's like, what are you doing?
Yeah, no. Yeah, I can't imagine them doing live shows without a sound effects guy. Guy hitting. They must have had that. Just on the last. You know what? In my older age, this guy has become.
Oh, the Larry Fine.
Because he's kind of the underdog, and then you look, and when he is funny. It's undeniable. Like, oh, dude, he's got that funny there. But it's not portrayed all the time. But there are some things where he just out of the blue, woo! And they're like, whoa, where'd that come from? And it was just, so he's a nice. Yeah, he's a nice flavor. So
maybe not like Larry.
Yeah, he was. Without Larry, it wouldn't be what they are. Larry was
right,
the
that's true.
constant.
They'd be two Stooges.
It just wouldn't be the same. Be like Ectomorph without Jim Copsian or something.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it'd be like just be like Evan Costello.
Yeah. Yeah, it would be terrible. Thanks, man, for talking to me, Steve. I appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed it.
No problem. I did. I had a lot of fun. Thanks, Tim.
Cool, man. Thank you.
Yay.
All right. I'll talk to you again someday. I will text you. And I won't bother you too much.
Okay.
All right. Bye.
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 So long.
So